Hello, YouTube. We were looking for buyers to show up on the 50 DMA, and after getting a true test today and a little bit of a fizzle yesterday, we gapped up today. We pushed up a little bit. We lost yesterday's high of the day, which gave us our bullish engulfing candle. Came all the way down, blew out yesterday's low, and then on the failed breakdown and the recapture of the 50 DMA, we just melted higher. So now we have a cup and handle forming here on the 15-minute chart. And I'm a little bit surprised this actually transpired. Why? Well, the volume was dropping off. After they punched it over 400.03 on this candle, it just flagged out and rallied into the end of the day. So Justin, make this really simple for me. Okay, let's do it. We got roughly a 1% buffer back down to our low of the week now, which means about 1%. And we also have about 1% to get back up to about 404. So 4 points higher gets us to the high of the week. 4 points lower gets us to the low of the week. Well, why does that matter? It matters because tomorrow is going to be Friday, and we're going to be closing out our weekly chart. Why is that so important? Well, let's remove everything and keep in mind one number, 400.19, which is right where we are in after hours. We closed out at 400.66. Why does this matter? Well, because tomorrow is Friday. And if we close above or below the 50 DMA, I am confident a lot of people are going to be watching this. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 weekly candle closes over, and we're set for a fifth if we can just close green tomorrow. So that's so important because for someone like me who's been recently turning bearish on the potential for the change here, as I mentioned on the weekend, I want to see us close below the 50. Otherwise, the momentum is just starting to wane a little bit. So unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware PCE and core PCE comes out tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. There's a few other headlines, a few other data points, but it really comes down to the core PCE and PCE. Which one is the market going to focus on? So if we think about this too, we go over here to QQQ. What do we have? Well, we have a doji, and we are just below our 50 weekly. That's going to be the blue line here. So if we delete everything, it's the blue line. And what does that mean? It means if we go 1% green tomorrow, NASDAQ should rally more than the S&P. We should be closing over. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 weekly candle closes over the 50 EMA. That's like pretty good support. And if we close here or higher, what it also shows me is that there's a push-pull happening off the 50. So we note here that we get up to the 50, overshoot it, slam back down on it. We dip below, comes back up. We're mean reverting right back here to our moving average. That's really important for me because it's what we would expect. I would expect that sellers are going to be defending the 50 EMA test, which means that tomorrow, regardless of what the number is, I'm more interested in the reaction. We've been talking about how there is a turning point, and for the turning point to turn into a bear move back down to about 250, which is our October low, we have to start seeing confirmation tomorrow. Otherwise, we're either going to delay or avoid the drop. So tomorrow it's really important. As I mentioned before, it's going to be a pass or fail. 8:30 is going to be the headline number. Let's see where we open. Let's see where we close. The best part is that we're going to be live for you through the final hours. So we'll be right there to guide you. And if you're enjoying the video at any time, I would really appreciate if you could consider smashing the thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much ahead of time. We love our YouTube community. Now, if we think about what was expected going into this week, well, we got a gap down here on QQQ, but it's a doji. We opened the week at 2972. We're closing out at 2968, pretty close to where we opened up. Now we look here at the S&P. We opened at 403. We're currently at 400, which means that we're actually a little bit lower than where we opened up the week, which means that, yeah, there was like a lot of bearish news going into this week. We'll go through a little bit of that right now, and we'll ask ourselves whether or not this is the move we would have expected. We're currently down by about 1.6% on the week. Is that a little bit? Is that a lot? Let's go through some headlines here. Why? Man, the boogeyman's been out for a while, and inflation slowdown is less than what meets the eye. Although many economists and investors are encouraged by the latest trends, a deeper look makes clear that pressure on consumer prices is still rising. Cool. U.S. unemployment claims dropped to lowest level in 3 weeks. Okay, well, that should be restrictive. That's what Williams said overnight as well. Jerome Powell's worst fear risks coming true in Southern job market. Oh my goodness. And let's read a last little doozy here, right? White House, Biden to meet G7 leaders virtually on Friday to discuss Russia. White House says U.S. will announce sanctions against Russia. and entities on Friday. Oh, nice. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Tomorrow's going to be spicy. And what I'm asking myself is let's now flip to hollow candles to see whether or not we actually close green or red. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 red days in a row. And now we got a green one. So the question is whether or not this is going to turn into a more bullish pattern or a bounce off our neckline on the inverse head and shoulders, or if we're due for some knees and toes where we now shoot below the 50 and test this 50 daily moving average and that absolute uptrend we talked about yesterday. Would also be a test of our all-time highs. We see every time we hit it, if we now launch back down here to about low 390s, that would be a test of our 50 at 200 MA and also a test of our downtrend right here. I call that the apex like we went over yesterday. If we don't test it, it's more bullish. If we do come down and test it, how we act to it is going to be really interesting. And volume's like really leveling off here. There hasn't been a really big push because I think people are largely positioned. I don't think a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't know what's going to be happening tomorrow or what's going to happen for a while. So after we got this nice little cut down, what's also really interesting is that new leadership emerges. And I think that what's so incredible about NVIDIA is just that when I look here to the one-day chart, man, it's up a lot. It's up 14% today. That's a lot for a company that's worth, yeah, at around about 50 to 80 billion dollars overnight. PE is 100. Yeah, people are like, oh, why can't Tesla go to 100? Well, because it's not NVIDIA. That's why. So if we think about this, well, we had a cup and a handle, right? Lose the 50, lose the 200, bounce off the 50, form the W. We get our completion of the move. It flags out, back tests, advance again, advance again. This is just like what happened to Netflix, where it lost it, and then man, it capped up nice today, reclaimed its uptrend, and man, this thing looks like it wants to go. That's a leader. Look at the price. Look at the volume. Look at the ramp. Whoa! I don't think the earnings were particularly impressive, but the market moves on height, and NVIDIA has. Right, they got the future for AI. We're going to build all those chips. We're the chip leader. Our name is NVIDIA. So this is pretty impressive. The gap is holding. If I'm actually really curious now, I didn't prep this ahead of time, but here's what happened in Netflix, right? There was the sag, there's the pop, then it went sideways more, and now it's back down. So what's going to happen in Netflix? Well, I'm not entirely sure. Two more quick things I want to look at here are going to be some weekly charts, just because I know that going into the end of the week, this is what I am really paying attention to. So when I look here, we have right roughly 4 points up, 4 points down from where we are right now at about 400 to hit our high of the week or our low of the week. Why is this so important, Justin? I think I mentioned it before, but I'll make it really simple now. So let's delete everything. Not only if we get a green close tomorrow, that we're going to be over our 50. What it also means is that if we rally up 1%, man, that's going to turn into a pretty nice hammer. Closing at or near the high of the week, over the 50 for 5 weeks. Man, I don't know if the bears really have the edge anymore. We could easily push back up here to about 410, maybe even 413. That's the risk. So with a high volatility day, in my opinion, the highest volatility day of the week, and if we go up 1%, well, riddle me this, Justin. Tell me what you would tell yourself tomorrow if we're up here at 404. Well, I would say, man, that's looking pretty bullish. That's what I would say. Same thing reversed. If we dump down about 1% and we close down over here, ooh, right? That's not pretty. That's going to look like a fat full candle, but reversed. That's not pretty. It's going to look something like this over here. So closing below, closing at the low, that's pressure. After we have these upper wicks here, man, that's the pressure for us to go down, downtown. All right, so pretty clear to me. If we go flat, it really just depends on whether or not we technically close above 400.19 for me. If it's above or below by a few cents, it's not going to be like it's the end of the world. But trust me, people are paying attention to those numbers. So if they act like they should, we should see people defending both sides. And for the turning point, if we don't start the descend now, it means that we're not truly doing what we talked about on the flip side here. So on the flip side, we talked about we have our 3 lower wicks. We have our 3 upper wicks. We stop going up. All right, well, seems like the bull narrative is pretty strong here. It should be. So if we don't get the follow through, that's what's more interesting to me. It's also important to note that the high from the first candle, so where our wick starts, has not been taken out yet. We got to get below 389.89 to really confirm it. So if chips are leading tech and tech is leading SPY, well, QQQ has to lose that 389. Why? If we go back to our wicks here, our first wick, our high is about 274.78. And on the candle that we break out, we blew through it. On the next candle, or the 5th one, we backtest and bounce off of what used to be resistance on the top. That's how we can confirm not just that the trend is trying to change, it's changing, and then it's changed. So high, lower, higher, low, higher, low. That's a flag. It's a double inside bar. And then we got lower high, lower low, right? Okay, yeah, lower high, lower low. That's the potential trend change. But we're probably going to need one more candle to confirm it. And like I just mentioned, if we close up 1% tomorrow, man, that's going to turn into a hammer. We're going to be up here above 300. We're going to have a nice long tail. And we opened at roughly 297, close out at 300 if we rally up 1%. That's a hammer time, baby. That means it might be time to go back up. That's what's really interesting to me. So without jumping in too much deeper, make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow. And if you want to watch our weekend deep dive, that should all be queued up over here on the right-hand side. If not, come hang out with me tomorrow for the final hour. We're going to take you through everything that's important. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.